Hello everyone, this is Ujjwal Gandhi from Spatial Thoughts. Today I want to share a tutorial on working with the Google Groundsource Flood Archive dataset. This is a fairly recent dataset that was released by Google where they have mapped the flood archive using news reports. They looked at millions of news articles and used Gemini to extract information such as the flood start and end dates along with the actual flood boundaries. And the way they mapped the flood boundaries is they extracted the information about the location that was being talked about in the news, and then they turned the neighborhood or the city into polygons using the Google Maps data. So in this tutorial, we're going to go through the workflow of accessing the data set, processing it, filtering down to a country of your choice, and then overlaying a grid and mapping the frequency of flood events. This kind of analysis helps in identifying flood-prone areas and understanding flood risk. The dataset is available as a Parquet download. From here, you can see it's a fairly large Parquet dataset. I'm going to go and open this up in QGIS to first visualize and understand what's the structure of the data. GDAL has now built-in support for Parquet and GeoParquet files, and that means modern versions of QGIS can just read the Parquet as it is. You can just drag and drop this, and QGIS will open and render this data. Let's just zoom into some region. You can see it's a very dense data set. There are lots and lots of polygons. Let me open the attribute table. And this being a fairly large data set, it's going to take a few seconds for QGIS to load the 2.6 million records. And you can see the attribute table is pretty sparse. We have a unique ID, the start and end date of the flood, and the area. We don't have a reference news article or other URL that would have been nice to have here. But again, this is all the data that we have. Let's change the visualization to just show the outlines of polygons. And as we do this, you'll see that there are many, many overlapping polygons. You'll see that in each region, there are different polygons. If there was a flood in a city or in a region, there may be multiple news articles about it. Google did some deduplication and filtering of those, but if the news articles mention different dates or about different areas, those are kept as separate records. So in our analysis, we want to overlay a grid and count the number of flood events. If we just go and count the number of polygons falling within each grid, then we may be overcounting the number of flood events because there may be multiple polygons that are referring to the same flood events. So one of the pre-processing things that we need to do is to remove or identify which polygons are talking about which flood events. And we'll cover that in the tutorial. If you want to follow along, you'll find the link to this tutorial in the video description. And then from here, we can just open this in Colab. Running this in Colab is helpful for two reasons. One is it's a fairly large data set, so we don't have to download locally. It downloads pretty fast on the cloud. Also, we don't have to install anything locally. Everything just gets installed on a cloud machine, so we don't have to manage a local environment for Python. We can just connect to a runtime here, and whatever we install, whatever we download will be on the temporary cloud machine that we allocated to us. Colab gives you a pretty nice machine with lots of RAM. So again, that's useful when you are working with this large data set. Let's go and import the packages we need. Everything we need for this tutorial is already pre-installed in Colab, so we don't have to install anything else. We'll create some folders in the machine there, and then we're going to go and download the data. Here, we're going to download the data from Natural Earth and also the Parquet file that is shared on Zenodo. This will get downloaded to that cloud machine where we are running this notebook. We have created these folders, and if I open this, you'll see that this is where the data is being downloaded. And since this is running in the data center, that's got fairly high bandwidth connection, so we'll be able to download it pretty fast. And once the download is done, we can start using this. First, we'll open the country shapefile and select the country of choice. Here, we are using the 3-digit ISO code to filter down to the feature, which is for your country. You can replace this with your own country's 3-digit code and use that boundary instead. Next, we want to create a regular grid. Here, we are using the grid size of 10 kilometers, depending on your country. For a large country like India, a 10-kilometer grid is okay. If you're in a smaller region, feel free to adjust that. We also need to create a grid in a projected CRS. We are using the India LCC projection here. You can replace it with a projection that is suitable for your country. I've suggested use 3857 if you're not sure. This is a decent projection for using globally. If you have a national projection that you want to work on, feel free to replace this here. Next, we go and run the cell, which is going to go and create the grid. Depending on your the size of the country, it may create a few thousand grid cells. Here, first we create a grid over the bounding box, and then we need to select all the grids that are intersecting the country. One tip when working with large data sets in GeoPandas is avoid doing clip. You could use clip here and you'll get the intersecting grids, but the clip is very expensive. It's also very slow. So instead, we use the spatial join. So once spatial joins are pretty fast, we just go and do a spatial join to select the grids which are intersecting the country boundary. And as you see, we have created those 32,000 grids that are over the shape that we've chosen. Let's visualize this one. This is just for sanity check to see if your country shape looks okay and the grid overlay looks correct. Now we'll go start working with the flood data. The data comes in as this large Parquet file. GeoPandas has built-in support for Parquet files. So if you just open the file with GeoPandas, you'll find the geometry column, parse it, and you'll create a geodata frame out of it. Just note that we have a special function called read Parquet. Normally, when we open files with GeoPandas, we just say read file and point it to any other files that are supported by GeoPandas. Parquet is a special format, so there's a special function for doing this. And when we run this, GeoPandas will be able to open this file and we'll see a preview of that. We have the same column that we have previewed before. Let's see how many total records do we have. And you can see there are 2.6 million records here. We don't want to work with all the data. We just want to first filter it down to all the flood polygons that intersect our country. One way to do this is again to clip this with our country boundary, but again, that will take a long time. It may run out of memory. A more efficient way to do this is to use the CX indexer, which allows us to extract data using a bounding box. So we'll use that and say, we'll take the bounding box of the country that we've chosen and select the records that intersect that. And that is fairly instant. You can see we found this 445,000 flood records that are within the bounding box of our chosen country. Now that we have the flood polygons, we can go and count the number of floods per grid. But before that, we need to remove the duplicate floods. Let me start this step. This takes a few minutes. I'll explain why this is running. So we may have multiple news articles talking about the same flood, and hence we may have multiple flood polygons that represent the same flood event. And if you're overlaying a grid and counting just the number of polygons, then we'll be overcounting by a lot. So we need to figure out which polygons are talking about which flood event. One way to do this would be to say, look at the start date, and if there are polygons which are intersecting and they are within some number of days, so here we're using day 7. So if the start date is within 7 days and they are in the same region, that means they are likely talking about the same flood. And if that happens, assign them the same flood ID. And once we have the unique flood ID, then we can just count the number of unique flood IDs in the grid instead of counting the individual polygons. I'm so glad we have AI coding assistants that help us in coding. I use Claude to build this code in this cell. This is something that would have taken me probably a day, and I wouldn't have done as good a job as this. The most important part is to verify whether the code you get is working correctly. So while I didn't spend any time in building this code, I spent close to an hour verifying that this code is doing what I want and tweaking those parameters, tweaking it to make it just right. It took about 4 minutes for me. And let's see how we can verify if this did the right thing. Whatever it found, this assigned this flood ID to the pairs that had similar dates and were intersecting. So we add this to the main geodata frame, and this is the result that we get. This says that this flood event was the start and ended here. There's one ID here. This 2 flood events were assigned the same ID, and that means they should be talking about the same flood. So this one, you can see the dates are similar, so that's okay. But then we need to verify that these 2 are actually in the same region. So let's see how we can do this. I'm going to copy this ID. I'm going to go back to QGIS. I'm going to apply a filter on this and say UID should be this or the second one. And I want to just see those 2 features in my map. And once I zoom to the filtered features, you see that these are the 2 polygons. And as expected, they are in the same region. You can see there's a smaller polygon, which is probably talking about the flood in a small neighborhood. And then this is a larger polygon talking about a flood in a region. If I overlay a base map, We can see which is the region that we are looking at here. And this is in Hyderabad, India. So you can see the larger polygon is probably from a news article that talked about the flood in the city. And then the smaller one is talking the same flood, but this time it's talking about the small neighborhood. So again, we have assigned the same flood ID to this. So that's why when we overlay the grid, we'll not count the number of polygons, but the number of unique flood events. Now that we have assigned a unique flood event ID to each of the polygons, in the next step, we can overlay this on our grid and count the number of unique flood events. When we're overlaying, we need both of them to be in the same projection. Our grid is in our chosen CRS. Let's just reproject our flood geodata frame to the same CRS, and then we can do the spatial join. Here we are doing inner join, and that means we'll have a one-to-many joins. Each grid will have multiple records of each polygon that it's intersecting with. And then we can just go and count the number of records and aggregate by the flood event count. That's what we're doing here. We are grouping the data frame by the index. So if there are 10 intersecting polygons, we'll have 10 different rows of the same ID. We'll group them by this and they say, for all of them, give me the count of flood event, and we use n unique, so we'll get the unique counts. And finally, once we have those IDs and the unique counts, we just merge it with our main geodata frame. So we get data like this, where we have the grids along with the flood count. We can now visualize this. So we'll plot our grid with colorized by the flood count. Here we are using the range 1 to 100, the 0, where there is no flood, we are rendering this in a gray color. And then all the floods count from 1 all the way up to 100 will be colored in this color map. I've chosen this 100, but again, depending on your region, you may have a different number. So feel free to adjust that till the map makes sense to you. This is what the map looks like. At first glance, it looks correct. These are the regions which are the arid regions of India, mostly desert. And so again, we don't expect to have any flood events there. These are Himalayas. And again, we don't expect any flood events because there are snow mountains there. The distribution of the high flood counts looks correct to me. One of the biases that this dataset has, and also Google talked about this in the paper, is that there'll be more number of news articles written in cities and places where people live. That's a bias in the data. It doesn't really mean that the cities have higher flood counts. It's just that there are more news articles talking about floods in those regions. It'll be nice to download this grid for further analysis. So we can save our geodata frame to a file. Here we are saving it as a GeoPackage file. This will get saved on the local machine that we are running this on. If you want to get this to our machine, we can just download this here. And this will get downloaded as a grid file. Let's overlay this on our map here. And you can see now we have those grids that we have computed in Python, and now we have downloaded the results. This one just has the grid and the flood event count in that grid. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Do try this out for your country and see how the results look. I would love to know what are the applications you might use this dataset for. Do let me know in the comments. Thank you.